I guess the first Pokémon movie was so successful that it begged for an immediate sequel 1 year later with Pokémon The Movie 2000. Just like Fantasia 2000, it was named after a millennium it wasn't even released in. I guess calling it Pokémon 2 wasn't enough. It sounds way cooler if you add a couple zeros to the end. I wasn't a fan of the first Pokémon movie, but the franchise is so popular, I imagine one of these movies has to be okay or decent. So, does the follow-up do the series justice?
This time around, there's a Pokémon collector attempting to make some prophecy happen by collecting 3 legendary birds in order to capture the extremely rare Lugia. I know it's rare because I have yet to find one in Pokémon Go. So just like the first movie, it revolves around a staged event started by a lunatic and the chase for rare Pokémon, while our main heroes get caught up in the mess. Ash, Misty, Pikachu, and these new characters. I guess Brock graduated or was on vacation for this one. I have a lot of the same immediate thoughts that I had with the first one. I question many of the plot choices, like why this prophecy exists in the first place, or why playing music on this conch shell will restore Lugia's powers. I question the mythology of the characters and how everything works, but once again, that may be attributed to my limited knowledge of Pokemon and the fact that this is the English dub, so I assume that there may have been some story changes. It's cool to see legendary Pokemon, but in turn, we don't really see a lot of the other characters. We get Pikachu and Meowth, but very limited screen time for the abundance of other Pokemon. A lot of the beats are the same here. Team Rocket shows up as the comedic villains, but end up helping the protagonist. Ash is center stage for almost no reason. I'm not a fan of the Chosen One story, and here, it's more ridiculous than ever. Ash doesn't show any reason for being an all-encompassing hero, and it's one of the worst excuses for being the so-called Chosen One. He arrives at the festival, and they choose him. That's it. Actually, that would make him a literal chosen one, so maybe that does make sense. They're going through the ritual of attempting to find these 3 balls that represent different elements, which are all represented by the birds. Bringing them together to a shrine will bring balance to the climate, which is caused by the beast of the sea being fought by Lugia. But the collector just wants them as prizes. Every time he captures a bird, everything goes haywire. They are some of the most annoying animals I've ever heard in a feature film. They scream at excruciating length. Zapdos is basically yelling like a human being. It kind of reminds me of the giant claw. This collector is one of the most chill dudes of all time. His entire hover ship gets destroyed at one point, and he's all good, still chilling on his seat, still worried about catching more Pokemon. Kind of reminds me of Moby Dick, but I don't know if this film is smart enough to make that easy of a connection. Even when the collector is defeated, he doesn't learn a lesson. He decides to continue his quest anyway. At least with the first movie, the stupid moral of the story had something to be learned from. This movie doesn't really provide anything. The new characters keep teasing Misty about having Ash as a boyfriend, but they don't really have an established connection. It feels forced and out of nowhere, typical of children's movies, but I'm wondering if this was added after the English dub got their hands on it. Seems like something 4 kids would do. The parents are chasing their kids as a boring side plot, and when they finally arrive after the climax, it's just a quick slap on the wrist, like, "Oh, Ash, don't be dumb. What was the purpose of including them?" I don't really understand which Pokemon get to talk and which ones don't. Pikachu and the others just say their name over and over again, except for Meowth, but I get it, he's the comedic character. But in this one, the birds only screech, they don't talk at all. Lugia talks like some old wise master, and Slowking can apparently talk too. What are the rules again? Well, Pokemon 2000 puts it like this, there are no rules. The first movie and 2000 are enjoyable for the kids who love the TV series. They're just bigger versions of the 30-minute episodes, and gives an excuse to rake in some box office dough. Compared to the first entry in the original series, it's just more of the same. I'm not really expecting much at this point, and the animation is still stellar. The bigger budget at least gives the artists more to work with, so that's a plus. I wish I had the perspective of watching these as a kid, but I was never really allowed to discover Pokemon, and by the time I did, I was a bit too old, didn't have enough time for video games or card collecting or some TV show. I like Pokemon Go, but it keeps taking up too much space on my phone. I guess that's one thing Pokemon 2000 reminded me to do. Get a new phone with a larger hard drive. Pokemon 2000, the second best animated film with the number 2000 in it. Yep, here it is. Thanks to Elizabeth for this Patreon request, and thanks to all my Patreon supporters. For only $7, you can get your own monthly movie review. Ask me to review anything I haven't already. There's also other perks like blogs, exclusive videos, and early access. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And thanks so much for watching this video.